I've fought many wars in my time. Some were fought for land, some for power, some for glory.
War has changed the course of history throughout the ages. It's capable of taking away all your dreams, your family, your friends in a second. The wars changed the face of humanity.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Wars like the Trojan War waged in the name of love. The Roman Empire combined brutality with the luxury of civilization. The fierce Vikings in their journeys and attacks did not only circumnavigate Europe, spreading terror and death, plundering and desolating everything that fell in their path.
This is Sparta!
Japan's history is also sprinkled with bloody wars. There was a time in history when the Mongol Empire was spoken of in every corner of the earth, and everyone knew who Genghis Khan was. The Ottoman Empire was once among the biggest military and economic powers in the world. The dynasty was responsible for the expansion of the Islamic State westward through North Africa to the Atlantic Ocean. In 711, the Umayyads crossed into the Iberian Peninsula. And in between all this, life blossomed. Quiet moments when everything returned to normal. Until World War I broke out following the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. The First World War was to be bloodier than any conflict before. One of the bloodiest conflicts in mankind's history. The total number of civilian and military casualties is normally estimated at around 37 million people. And once again, the history of mankind has been written with a lot of blood. "21 years later, Hitler's Germany and company decided that the time has come to unleash revenge for the injustice of the First World War, and the first state to fall was Poland, invading it, and World War II begins. World War II resulted in the direct or indirect deaths of some 60 million people, about 3% of the world's population at that time. These figures include the victims of acts of genocide, the Holocaust, and the experiments of a Japanese general Ishishiro's Pink Fan unit. The victims of incredibly bloody battles in Europe, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, the victims of massive bombings of cities, including the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the fate of humanity has been shaken again.
NATO are meeting as we speak, so we just wanted to start with a little snapshot here.
And Putin has the audacity, like all our autocrats before him, to believe that might will make right. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
On the morning of 24 February 2022, Russian troops crossed the border into Ukraine, and a military offensive begins. And the world remains in shock. How can something like this happen in this century? The world is divided into spheres of influence, and this scenario is reminiscent of World War II, when Hitler decided to send troops to Poland. Can Vladimir Putin and his decision to annex by violence and spreading terror compare to what Hitler did? Could this be a very clear signal that we are on the verge of another world war? I'm not dealing with geopolitics here, because I'm not qualified for that. The direction of this channel is structured on a different basis. But as any other empathic person seeing all that has been going on for more than a month, this impacts me. On this channel we deal with topics about the soul, relationships, people who are looking for routine solutions to the quiet days. Men in this case, men who are sent to give their lives, or as the case may be, to take someone else's. Wickedness also has its origin, just as the universe is supposed to be infinite. So the source of evil is also unknown. Experts say that men in general are prone to violence in much greater numbers than women. But let's not forget one thing. What comes out of a cat, mice will eat. As the book's called, psychopaths seems to have no conscience and are often referred to as cold-hearted. Sociopaths do seem to have some sense of moral conscience. They do not allow their knowledge of right and wrong to dictate their behavior, but both are manipulative and engage others for personal gain. And the women who give birth to attack-ready, predatory, generally violent specimens are also partly to blame, also combined with the environment in which they develop and train their malice. The wickedness that ordinary people felt at first hand on a cold February 24 day this year. History has shown us that often after a war was ended, the direct perpetrator of war crimes, is often not of sound mind. Machiavellians are common in all kinds of settings. This particular combination of dark personality traits is highly damaging and should be met with caution. Machiavellian leaders have negative effects on individuals. But what is happening in Ukraine smells different. Stay tuned.